Good morning. I want to pose a situation for you. It's a situation that the esteemed writer Frederick Buechner had to confront. He writes about it in his book, The Sacred Journey. Now ask yourself what you would have done if you were faced with this situation. Buechner had been looking forward to an evening with his mother. They didn't get to see each other as often as they would much like to. So when she invited him over for a nice meal, he gladly accepted. And as his mother and he sat down to eat, he received an urgent call. A colleague needed Buechner's help. This colleague's parents and pregnant sister had just suffered a serious car accident, and the doctor didn't give them much hope. The colleague was waiting at the airport for a flight to take him to the family, and he desperately needed comfort at that moment. Would Buechner come and be with him while he waited for the plane? Frederick Buechner's first response was fear. His friend's grief scared him. He didn't know if he could be of any help. Although he knew what he should do, he told his friend that he had things needed to do and to call him in 10 minutes to see if he could come. With a heavy heart, Frederick Buechner sat down to dinner. His mother complained that she didn't want him to go, that this friend should be able to take care of himself. These were the same arguments filling Buechner's head, but as he heard them from his mother, he realized how shallow and wrong they were. He knew that as soon as his friend called back, he would go immediately to comfort, but he never got that chance. When his friend called back, he said that he was feeling better and that he'd be fine by himself. So Buechner and his mother got to spend the evening together, but he couldn't fully enjoy himself. As he reflected on this incident, he realized that his mother's apartment was a kind of sanctuary from the hurried, cruel, desperate, needy world outside. His friend's call for help was clearly a call to leave this refuge and return to the world. This is also what God had called Frederick Buechner to do, and he hadn't heeded the call. He had been wrong. Later he was able to write, the shattering revelation of that moment was that true peace, the high and bidding peace that passeth all understanding, is to be had not in retreat from the battle, but only in the thick of the battle. That was the situation. Now, how would you have reacted? Have you ever had a friend who had a deep need, but you chose to look the other way? It's tempting to spend one's life in retreat, is it not? You and I have so much to do in our work, at home, looking after our family. It's easy to retreat behind the wall of our own personal responsibilities and ignore the needs of our friends, our community, our world. We only have so much time, right? Then we come to today's text. If anyone would come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save his life will lose it. But whoever loses his life for me and for the gospel will save it. Take up his cross. The members of the early church knew exactly what Jesus was saying here. They had seen his example. He literally took up a cross and bore it to Calvary. He had willingly chosen to subjugate his will to the will of the Father. He did what he had to do, and he did it not for his own gain, but for others, for you and for me. No concept has been as corrupted in the common vernacular as this one, bearing a cross. People say, I have arthritis, but that's just my cross to bear. I have a lazy husband, but that's just my cross to bear. You and I know such problems have nothing, absolutely zero, to do with Jesus' words. When you bear Jesus' cross, you are saying something entirely different. You are saying that you are willing to serve God. You are willing to serve others. You are willing to put aside selfish concerns and focus your attention on God's kingdom. If that costs you money, if you have to give up some of your precious time, if you have to get out of your comfort zone, that is just what you have to do. When you bear a cross, God's will comes first in your life. Is that where you are today? Does that accurately describe your life? There are a couple of things we ought to say about that. First of all, without the gospel, it makes no sense to take up a cross. Let's admit it. Why not eat, drink, and be merry and ignore our responsibilities? If there is no gospel, no good news from God, there are many people who live only for themselves and the people they love. Maybe you're one of them. These are not evil people. Some of them have perfect attendance in Sunday school and church. They're not bad people, only selfish people. Some of them are quite attractive. They live in beautiful homes. They drive nice cars. They are very well educated. They never knowingly broke a law. The only problem with them is that they haven't a clue what Jesus meant when he said, if anyone would come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. They're like Lucy in an old Peanuts comic strip. Lucy is swinging on the playground. Charlie Brown reads to her. It says here that the world revolves around the sun once a year. Lucy stops abruptly and responds, the world revolves around the sun? Are you sure? I thought it revolved around me. And few people are as candid as Lucy, but believe me, they make the same mistake. They really do believe that the world revolves around them and their needs. Some of them can be quite aggressive. Mm-hmm. They're like that poster that reads, if I like it, it's mine. If I can take it away from you, it's mine. If I had it a while ago, it's mine. If I say it's mine, it's mine. If it looks like mine, it's mine. If I saw it first, it's mine. If you're having fun with it, it's definitely mine. If you lay it down, it's mine. If it's broken, it's yours. That's a philosophy that guides many people. Look out for number one. I got mine, now you go get yours. And that's really not all that bad, I guess, unless you believe in Jesus Christ. If we are really creatures of the dust, here today, gone tomorrow, what does it matter what we do with our lives? It matters how little we treat our neighbor, whether we are generous with our church, whether we seek justice for all people. Without the gospel, it makes no sense to take up a cross. If we believe the gospel, however, if we believe the gospel, there is no escape from taking up a cross. That's what following Jesus is all about. It's about living Christ's life in the world. Heeding a friend's call for help. Looking for ways to improve the community. Joining with others through our church to support mission ministries. That's a tough one. Mission ministries. Being sensitive to those with special needs. Inviting a friend to join you in Bible study. Doing all these things that take us out of our comfort zone. Our preoccupation with ourselves and those we love. And focusing on the call of God to be in service to others.
Amen.
Every Saturday night, a group of Christians serve a food line to the hungry and homeless of Washington, D.C. They serve folks who live inside of the White House and the Capitol building, but are so often overlooked. After all, the poor really are almost invisible in our society. Before they open the doors, these Christian people gather around the food, hold hands, and are led in prayer by Mary Glover, a woman who herself stood in that food line a few years earlier. And this is what she says when she prays. Lord, we know you'll be coming through this line tonight, so help us treat you well. Amen. Those good people understand what it is to bear a cross. There are other things they could be doing with their time, but they chose to be serving others in Christ's name. Bearing a cross is about facing up to our responsibilities to others. That may take many forms. In 2001, the CEO of Baxter International, a medical supply company, made a decision that cost his company $189 million. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that like many crooked CEOs who have been in the news lately, Baxter's CEO, Harry Kramer, must have done something unethical. He must have cooked the books or drained the company accounts in order to finance his own luxurious lifestyle. No, that's not it. That's not it at all. It was Kramer's honesty and high sense of ethics that caused him to make such a momentous decision. Executives of Baxter International learned in 2001 that one of the products they manufactured was a filter for a kidney dialysis machine, and it may have been defective. Some dialysis patients using the Baxter International filter had died of unexplained causes. Rather than covering up the situation, Kramer recalled all of the filters and instituted a rigorous investigation into the problem. This recall and investigation cost the company $189 million. Kramer also recommended that his performance bonus for that year be cut because his situation occurred under his leadership. And to top it all off, he informed all of his competitors in the medical manufacturing business of the possible flaws in Baxter's filters so that they could benefit from the research his investigation turned up. Now, I know nothing of Harry Kramer's religious affiliation, but I do know that that is the sort of action that bearing a cross requires. When it's a matter of ethics, the follower of Christ is held to a higher standard than the world. That is why I say that without the gospel, it makes no sense to take up a cross. If we believe the gospel, however, there's no escape from taking up the cross. You will be inconvenienced. It will cost you money. It may even cost you much more. It may cost you your life. As controversial priest Daniel Berrigan said, if you want to follow Jesus, you better look good on wood. This is to say that the call of Christ is a call to make a decision. Last week, we spoke about miracles and whether or not we believed in them. We deducted that we were not here on this planet by some cosmic accident. Do you believe that? Just how much do you believe it? We are members of the body of Christ. Wouldn't it be amazing to stand before God someday and be able to say, Christ's death wasn't wasted on me. I did my part. I got out of my comfort zone. I gave up some of my precious time. I shared in the costs of the kingdom. I took my stand. I bore my cross in serving my church, serving my community, serving my friends, serving my world. Today, the city of Dallas concludes its celebration of the BLBTQXYZWYXZZZ, whatever it is, Pride Parade. There's so many letters they put in there now. It used to be so simple. With its 35th annual Allen Ross Texas Freedom Parade, followed by the Dallas Pride Festival, in the park that used to be known as Lee. That was funny. The park that used to be known as Lee. It was Lee Park. They changed it. Okay. For any of you planning on attending, the parade is free. Parking close in, if you can get a spot, will not be. And the festival after is also not free. There's a $5 admission for anyone over the age of 12. So again, it looks like some of our less affluent. Must stand outside the gates of a celebration of pride and inclusiveness again. Now I understand that it costs money to put on such an event, but with all of the corporate branding and sale of T-shirts and cost of the parade entry, there should be plenty enough to cover the cost. I'm not going to get on my soapbox about this, but I just wanted to make my point known. The very first gay pride parade 35 years ago in Dallas was much different than the glitz and corporate branding of the event of today. The first pride parade, and I use that term loosely, cost monetarily a little more than the cost of some poster board and permanent markers, a couple of cans of Aquanet, and some false eyelashes, a great deal of courage, and an overwhelming desire to be recognized and treated as equal, no matter who we loved, lived with, partnered with, or dated. Love. Love, and I have said this again and again, love, true love, can never be wrong. 35 years ago, those brave gay men and lesbian women marched through downtown Dallas in a bit of an impromptu celebration of diversity and a cry just to be treated like everyone else. They took up their cross and carried it, not just for themselves, but for all of us who followed. You and I, gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgendered, straight, and everything in between. On this day, when a rainbow flag flies so prominently to represent diversity, we should remember that not only is the world not black and white, but is also not every pure color of the rainbow. A more apropos symbol might simply be a very gray flag, representing all of the colors blended together, as in an ideal world, each of our lives would be blended. All just equal, no hard lines to stand firm to, except that we are human, and that we are children of our loving God, all of us, created in His image. There are so many who will march today that still hold that spirit of those pioneers that marched those very judgmental and dangerous streets of Dallas 35 years ago. They're members of PFLAG, parents and friends of lesbians and gays, who march not because they seek equality and justice for themselves, but for their brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, friends who so desperately need their support. You can find it in the wide eyes of the 16-year-old young man who found the courage to make his way to the event out of curiosity, and will unexpectedly find he finally doesn't feel so different anymore. That there are others in this world who feel and act and love like he does. You find it in the activists yell, gay, straight, black, white, same struggle, same fight. Before I came out, I was simply known as Mark to my friends and family, just Mark. But on the day that my sexual identity became public knowledge, my name changed. Not by any choice of mine, mind you, but it changed. I was all of a sudden that gay guy, Mark, or gay Mark, or that fag, or their gay son, Mark. Before that day, I was the same person I was after that day. I had not changed, but society's eyes had now seen me as a single facet of a very multifaceted person. Who I was became who I slept with, and all the rest seemed to go out the window. Today, I'm Bishop Mark, Reverend Mark, human rights activist Mark, animal rights activist and lover Mark, pack rat Mark, Mark with the ungoverned tongue. I could go on and on. And that's the point. I could go on and on. To limit a person to one word, no matter what the word is small-minded, unfair, inaccurate, and simply wrong. I personally find that kind of incomplete categorization as insulting, with one exception. The one categorization that I will always be proud of is the fact that I am Mark, Son of God. I long for the day that we can simply be that and be respected and loved for all that that beautiful phrase encompasses. Until that day, I, as well as many others, must follow Jesus and bear the cross for ourselves and all that follow us. I want to close with a story, a parable, if you will, shared by Pastor Dan Mangler. There was an elf, a wood elf, a very respectable wood elf, who spent his time running around with a little wheelbarrow gathering snails and weeds that were destroying the vegetation and disposing of them. And this elf had a prized possession that he kept in his hut, a green blanket, a soft green blanket. It had fallen from a fairy's wagon as she went through the woods, and he had never returned it to her. At night, he wrapped himself up in this soft green blanket. It was very cold there in the woods, and he was warm in it, and he slept soundly through the night. In fact, he slept so soundly that he had never had occasion to see the king of the world. The king of the world, who was said to come early each morning to make all things fresh and new. But the elf was so wrapped up in his warm, snug, soft green blanket that he never was up and never had seen the king of the world. One time a shepherd met the elf out in the woods and said, "Have you ever seen the king of the world?" And the elf said, "No, as a matter of fact, I never have. I've never been able to quite manage it." And the shepherd was shocked to hear this. Living in the woods that way, and the shepherd came up very close to the elf, and he looked into his eyes and deeply into his soul. He said, "I seem to see something there that looks strangely like a blanket." And the elf knew the shepherd had discovered his secret, and that his secret was that he would rather be wrapped in the warm green blanket than to get up early enough to see the king of the world who made all things fresh and new. There are many people, some of them in the church, who will never experience Christ in their lives, who will never meet him in a food line, never hear his words. "Well done, thou good and faithful servant." Not because they are bad people, but because they prefer their warm green blanket. Bearing a cross makes no sense without the good news of Jesus Christ. If you believe the gospel, however, bearing a cross is what you and I must do. Therefore, today's text requires a decision. If anyone would come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whomever wants to save his life will lose it. But whoever loses his life for me and for the gospel will save it. Amen. So, what'd you like? What'd you not like? What do you want to keep? What do you want to get rid of? I apologize.
I'm happy, Mark. I took half of mine.
Thank you. We had some mess ups today. behind the scenes and you know, even during the service today, there were a couple of glitches. It happens.
Yeah.
I don't like it when it happens. I'm very passionate about what I do. I get very angry and myself more than anybody, when something goes wrong. And that spews out. And I apologize. That's one of my downfalls, is my temper.
But yeah, here we are.
Here we are. And that's the miracle. We talked about miracles last week. Let's talk about that. I mean, hello. We're all still here.
Exactly. Yeah.
We all have our crosses to bear, as we talked about today, right? And I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. Yes, it should have been much better today, and it's okay. It'll get better. It'll get better again.
His first one?
No, he's been here a couple times. I understand it's his first one, but understand this. Look, we've been through some big changes. We lost an integral part of our team. Decided to move on and do other things rather suddenly, and that blew us out of the water. Especially because he was our IT person. He ran all of our IT, all of it, and we're still trying to figure out how everything runs the way he had it set up, or fix it to where we can run it the way we can do it. Okay, that's our biggest issue right now. So we'll get there. It's just, you know, you build up, you get to where we were there. We were running a tip-top ship here. It was very nice. We still had glitches, but now one person's gone. That's okay. We just got to pick up the pieces and move on. Just because one person leaves doesn't mean the church has to go anywhere. Even if I were to leave, if something happened to me tomorrow and I can't be here anymore, I would hope that somebody would step up.
Gavin would.
I would hope somebody would. Because look, a lot of you out here have talent. Y'all can do this. You know, you can do this. It's just talking about what God's already told you. That's all I do. I just talk about my life and what I've seen and what God taught me, and I got the Bible, and we talk about how that relates to us. It's that simple. We're just talking. Okay? All right. So, bearing the cross. That's what we talked about today. Bearing the cross. What do you want to say about that today?
Well,
what's that program?
It's
pretty nice. I worked my little tushy off on that. Thank you.
I have to say that.
Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. I would like to say that I think it's in relativity with, you know, just like everybody's got their faults. We're all human. You know?
We are. Well, recognizing that we're all human, yes, that's true. But to use that as a crutch,
right,
is the part we have to watch out for. To say, oh, we're human, it's okay if I sin.
Right.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
That's not the way it works.
Yeah.
That's the way it works. You know, like I said before, you don't go to Walmart and steal the Hubba Bubba. Right? Put it in your pocket, walk out, and you're chewing the Hubba Bubba at home. Goes, oh, I can't believe I sinned. I did that. I'm so sorry. You're chewing that gum, chewing that gum. And the next day you walk into Walmart and you do the same thing. You can pick up the Hubba Bubba. You didn't repent. You don't care about what you did. You're still doing it. That's not the way you do it. That's the way it works.
Just making it feel better.
That's the way it works.
Yeah.
It's about changing your life. Okay? Bearing the cross, we have. Jesus was human. He bore the cross. But he bore it for us. And that's what we have to follow him. Bearing that cross, not necessarily just for ourselves,
Amen,
but for others. Being men and women for others. One of our creeds here, one of our sayings that we live by. Men and women for others. Because if you give and do for others, it will come back to you. You will need for nothing if you live your life that way. You live your life for others. I guarantee you're taken care of. Trust me on this one. You will. Look, it's hard to do. It's hard to be unselfish and give. And give. And give. And give. Because it's not going to come back to you right away. It may not. It may be a while. But God's not going to let you go without. He's not going to let you, fail or fall below, your standards or your needs because you've given.
What's the old saying though that Confucius said, "Men who fall one time get back up 2 times."
I hope so.
In other words, no matter what, like you said, God never gives us anything that we can't handle.
That's absolutely true.
It's like the book of Job.
What about the book of Job?
He was tested and tested and tested after Satan had asked the Lord if he could test Job's faithfulness and his loyalty to God, and Satan took his family, his food, his crops, his livestock, everything from him, and then was paid tenfold because he didn't.
Yeah, the book of Job is just one example. I mean, there's hundreds of examples throughout the Bible of people who are tested.
Right.
You talk about that a lot in the Bible. People testing people, God testing you. I'm not sure that's exactly the way God thinks about it. He's not really testing us. I mean, it's just it's something we have to deal with. There's a reason we're going through life on this universe, on this earth. There's a reason we're here. Okay? And our reason for being here is to love and serve and worship God, right? That's what we do. We do that in so many different ways, by being man one for others and things like that, giving our talents and giving our gifts and all of that. But I believe that our time here is a learning time. It's a learning. We're always, because we're talking about that knowledge of God. God is knowledge, right? And we're supposed to be Christ-like. We're supposed to be, I'm not going to do that yet.
Yeah.
It's for us to learn. We're here to learn something. And what it is, I don't know all of what it is. I don't, because I haven't been to that next place yet. But it's obviously in preparation for us moving on to our next journey, our next portion of our journey in life. And I think when we forget about that, we forget that what we're supposed to be doing, that's when we kind of fall into a rut. We forget that we're supposed to be staying on this path, and there's a reason. God laid this path for you. He laid it for a reason, so you can have this knowledge that you need to move on to the next phase of your existence, of your soul's life. Okay? Because remember, this is all what? This is just dust. It's all stardust.
Right.
All of this, everything here, just stardust, except for our souls.
Exactly right.
And those souls are what we are, who we are. The thing we know least about ourselves is our soul. I believe that. Don't you? We all know about our bodies, and our personalities, and our brains, hearts, but we don't know about our soul that well.
Right.
That's what we're trying to learn about. That's what we're trying to understand and connect with, and realize that's really who we are. All this other stuff is dust.
If you break it down, it goes off of the probability or the formula of like choice.
We have choices. It's called free will.
Right, we're given a choice, so it's a 50-50 for most things, because it's right or wrong. It's either the right or
Well, not
wrong way.
always. Hey, don't go black and white on me now. Remember, I talked about that today.
Yeah.
Don't go black and white. Don't go yes or no, because there's a lot of maybes. There's a lot of almosts. A lot of not quite so much. Okay, it's like we're talking about today is Gay Pride Day in Dallas, right? And we talked about we talked about being gay or straight, bi or transgender. Look, there's a lot of gray area between all of that.
Right.
There are people who are maybe 80% this, 20% that.
Right.
5% this, 95% that. I don't know many people. Look, 100% being all gay, 100% being all straight. Not necessarily. I just don't. I don't believe that. And I believe that when we try and put ourselves into boxes like that, sexually, physically, emotionally, anything, in our abilities, any of that, when we try and box ourselves in, we're doing ourselves a disjustice. Because that's not the way we are. God didn't create us that way. And God didn't create us to be that one facet either. Like I talked about when I came out, my name changed from Mark, who was just Mark, to that gay kid Mark. Or that fag.
Right.
Or that gay son Mark.
Yeah.
I would just say, I'll be that faggot.
But you know what? That's not who I am. That's a part of who I am. It's a part. I have a lot of facets. What did I say? I gotta pull this out. I thought it was kind of funny. So I talked about. Okay, here we go. Today I'm Bishop Mark, right? I'm Bishop Mark. I'm Reverend Mark. I'm human rights activist Mark. I'm animal rights activist and lover Mark. I'm pack rat Mark. I'm one with the ungoverned tongue. Mark with the ungoverned tongue. And I can go on and on. And that's the point. I could go on and on. Because when you limit ourselves to being, yes, have a gay pride. Yes, do it.
Be proud of who
Be proud of who you are. And the reason that was done back then is because we were hidden. We were told that's all you were because that's who you were. That's what you were. You're gay.
It's like colors.
But I'm not. I'm not just gay. I'm so much more, people. And all gay people are not the same. We're not. You can't take that stereotype of me and you and you and you and you and go, you're all gay. That's all you are. Because we're all completely different.
Right.
We're still humans. It's something that's hard to get across to people, to the majority of people who don't have to experience that in their lives.
Trans and whatnot,
The point of acceptance and being treated equally and having the basic rights that everybody else deserves as well as we do.
human beings.
Right, as human beings. Who cares who I sleep with?
Exactly.
Love is never wrong. True love. True love is never wrong. You hear me that?
True story.
Stardust. What's up?
I'm sorry.
No, don't, because it'll mess with it. We'll be done here shortly. We're not gonna make it too long. I know it's warm in here. I know there's a lot of us here, and the lights are on. It's warm. We'll have the fans going. It's just messing with our sound. That's what we're doing to do that. Okay. So true love is never wrong. I believe that wholeheartedly. If you could, we're all selfish. We're made to be that way. Okay. That's why giving away love, giving our love to somebody else is so hard. It's so important. It's so real. It's so very special.
It's
True
part
love.
of our soul.
Love comes from the soul. Right. I don't know about you, but I don't think my soul has a penis.
Beep.
So, and that's that's what is used to create to identify our sexual identity here in this plane. I know that.
Because women can have mustaches too.
Well, yeah. Look, if we were all the same in this world, it'd be a really boring place.
Right. Exactly. Individuality is what makes
We
the
might as
world
well
really
be
turn.
robots, be drones. If God wanted us to just be here and just worship Him and that's it, we'd say, okay, all this, here you are, now worship me. We'd all just,
Yeah.
what good is that? Think about God. He's going, yeah, I can do that. That's great. I'm all powerful. I can do that. But then what's the fun in that? You know, what does it really prove? Because to get somebody to worship you, just bear with me for a second. I'm going to go up on this little plane here. God. Okay? Get somebody to worship me. Do I want to just make them use my powers and make them drones and just make them, oh yes, Lord, yes, we love you.
No,
Or do I want them to make their own decision and prove that I really am all loving and all powerful and all knowing and I'm doing the right thing? Because when I do the right things, when God is doing the right thing, think of anything like God now. If God's doing the right thing, He's doing what He's supposed to do, He's providing like He's supposed to. If He does all those things He's supposed to do with God, then we worship Him anyway because we appreciate Him and we love Him and we see that and He deserves it. Right?
You
Do you see that?
You wouldn't have different cars. You wouldn't have Chinese food. You wouldn't have
You just
Mexican
stuck on that
food.
damn diversity.
You know.
Look, you're right. The world is diverse, and that's the whole point. God made it that way. It's all different. I mean, none of us are exactly alike. That's why, it's what makes the world go round, as they say. I don't want to see 8 billion of me. I'm sorry, I don't. I would get really bored with that really quick.
No, you wouldn't.
What do you do? I mean, seriously. Think about that 8 billion of you running around. What do you do?
He cares.
Off the hills.
It'd be ridiculous.
Let's see who's
And the
left.
miracle alone that we are here on this planet, all those little things that had to come together, all the little, the moon, that planet had to hit the Earth at some point and make the moon. And it had to hit perfectly because otherwise all of it's destroyed or it's not enough. It just moves on. All these little things had to happen. So with the moon, we got the tides, right? We got the tides of the water. Without that tide, all that muck, that ooze that they talk about that created us, all that stuff, it never comes ashore. It never gets pushed. Those microbial beings that are our ancestors never happened. All these things that had to happen in just perfection to make our world, which, believe it or not, is a pretty perfect world. We have food. We have natural shelter that keep us from make. We've got oxygen. We've got each other.
Yeah.
All these things that have evolved into what it is today, it just amazes me to sit and think about that. I mean, to ponder that is just, wow.
Baffling.
Look at all these other, the universe knows how big it really is. It's in here. And our mind can't govern that. But all these other planets we've looked at, there's no life there. There's nothing, they can't sustain it. They can't sustain it. But this one little blue planet, this one little speck, out of all that, has us.
But the right disaster had to happen in order for
Exactly.
that life to happen.
Well, from death comes life. We believe that every day, don't we, as Christians? From death comes life. Jesus Christ died for our sins, so that we had the chance to be saved. There's a lot of people that say that Jesus Christ, in fact, there's a lot of people that say that when Jesus Christ died, we're all saved and that's it, and no matter what you do, you're saved. Well, I don't believe that. We don't believe that here in this church. We believe that, you can still turn your back on God just because Christ died for you doesn't mean you're going to heaven. You have something to do. I think it's
Your fault.
I think it's unacceptable, and it's not thinking correctly if you think that just because Jesus Christ died for your sins that you have nothing else to do but to live your life. Look, that's ridiculous. We have a duty as Christians, as members of this society, as members of God, being God's children, to do certain things.
To accomplish stuff for humankind.
That's not even all of it. That's some of it.
Yeah.
Love, to serve and worship God. To serve and worship God. Now think about that. It seems so simple. You serve and worship God.
And it goes
But how do you do that? How do you serve and worship God?
By being Christ-like.
How do you do, what's that? That's one of the ways. How else? Be Christ-like, living a life like Christ, trying to follow His footsteps, right? How is Christ? What's Christ-like?
Golden rule.
What's the golden rule?
Treat others like you do.
That's a start.
That's part of it.
That's a start.
But
What else? What about being a man and woman for others? What do I do? How do I become a man and a woman for others? What do I do? What does that mean, being for others?
non-biased.
To be there unconditionally.
What about giving?
Yeah.
What can I give?
Yourself.
I can give myself. I can give of
But not
Your wisdom,
Right.
your word.
Like
we talked
too
about
much
that.
of yourself.
You have to remain. You have to keep yourself sustained as well. Your food, your talents, your
Always.
time, your talents. God gave you those talents. We all have different ones. Talking about diversity, right?
Right.
Go ahead. About diversity, right? So we all have different talents to give. If we all gave freely of our talents to each other, we would want for nothing.
Exactly.
The world would be perfect. Because
Then that destroys,
think about it.
that destroys wisdom at that point.
It's socialism at its finest.
Right.
We are giving everything we have, been given, because these are gifts that God gave us. We didn't ask for them, we just got them. God gave us gifts, right? Some people gave us gifts to sing. Some gave us gifts to be a seamstress, to be able to sew. Some gave us ways to educate others. Some gave us child care, not child care,
Nursing.
to be able to take care of children.
Right.
Some to take care of elderly. Some to just be compassionate to certain people. Some to be, able to sell certain things, be great salesmen. It's all these things. Some to be a preacher.
Yeah.
Some to be a deacon. Some to be an AV person. Those are gifts that God gave us. We can, hone in ourselves and bring up, and that's how you give. That's how you be men and women for others, by giving those gifts. Not, you don't ever suppress those gifts. God gave you gifts, and if you lose them, I get so mad at people. That's why I get mad when I see people who have so much talent and so much God-given ability, and they waste it. They waste it. They take it for granted. And then I look at them, do you know what I would do to have that gift?
Is there anything people wasted? I think they,
Come on, voice from the past. Come on out here. Let me hear you. What was that?
I say there's always just the right time for everything, right?
There's a right time for everything. You're right.
Yeah.
But,
So it's not about
You have
wasting
to be aware
talent.
of
It's
that.
about wasting talent. It's about harnessing it.
you have to use your brain.
So the
That's
brain-
something that God gave us that we have to use, is our brain. Like I talk about that reading the Bible. The Bible was written, yes, by divine, but with divine intervention. He blew his breath onto that wonderful book. But a lot of human hands have touched that book. And with human hands comes what? Corruption, mistakes, greed. So you have to use your brain and go, okay, look, this makes sense here. I understand that. I get it. This is my God. I understand my God. This doesn't. And if you don't get it, if you still don't understand it, ask him.
And you shall receive.
He'll talk back.
Yeah.
He's not mute. God is not mute. God speaks. Are you listening? Are you listening? How many of you pray every day?
For the most part.
How many of you pray every other day? Once a week? Once a month? Once a year? Has anybody gotten on their knees lately and prayed? What's the deal? Here's my challenge to you this week. We all have our crosses to bear. We do. Here at church, one of those ways of helping to deal with that is to talk with our other church members. That's one of the reasons we're here, to support each other. Some of us have carried that cross before, and we can tell you how it went for us, and some of the mistakes we made along the way, and some of the falls we had, and how to avoid those pitfalls. It's not trying to be better than, it's just trying to show you that we've already been there, and so you don't have to do the same thing. You don't have to go through the same problems, so you don't have to go through the same heartache that we had. A lot of times it doesn't work because as younger adults, you have an older generation trying to tell you those things. You know it all as it is. The younger guys, they know everything, right? They have to do themselves. But sometimes some words get through, and I encourage anybody who's been there to continue to tell others what you went through and how to avoid those falls. Okay? Here's my challenge to you this week. Here's my challenge to you this week. Don't forget this. Every day this week, every day, all 6 days before next Sunday, take 10 minutes out of your day. 10 minutes. It's just 10 minutes. There's a lot of minutes in the day. Take 10 minutes out of your day. Get to the quietest place you can get to. Get on your knees and pray.
Take 5 minutes at the most to speak. That's it. That's it. Don't speak anymore for 5 minutes. And then shut up. Shut up. Clear your mind. Open your heart, your soul, and your ears, and listen. Don't think. Yeah, this is one time I'm going to tell you not to think. Don't think. Let all of that just kind of shut off and just be ready to receive. When you do that, guys, it's going to come. You're going to hear it like I do. Listen. And I get goosebumps thinking about it because it's just that feeling of when you hear that voice. I don't mean with your ears necessarily. I mean when you hear that voice, it's amazing. Then your life changes. Then your life begins to.
Blossom.
It's hard to put it into words. Yeah, you become a different person. You do. When you realize that God is always there watching you, and He really does have things to say to you, and you open your mind and your heart and you listen to those things, your way of living changes as well. It does. So that's my challenge to you this week. Every day, this week, it's not that much to ask. 10 minutes out of your day. Get on your damn knees and pray. And I mean pray where I tell you to pray. Please. There are no beeps out of this. I'm human too. You know? We created language. You know? Now listen. What else you got to say about this carrying your crosses thing? What do you got to think about that? What do you think about why we have to follow in Christ's footsteps and carry this cross? We have to bear these crosses. What is up with that?
I want to say something interesting that I found in that statement.
Which statement?
The words itself.
Which statement is that?
Carry your
About bearing your cross.
Yeah, bearing your cross.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Like, it kind of goes hand in hand with what you said about for others as well. You might not just be carrying your own cross.
You're right.
You know?
Think about today. I talked about PFLAG, people in PFLAG, which I admire very, very much. PFLAG is Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays. That's what that stands for. Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays. It's an organization that's been around for a long time, okay? And these are parents and friends of lesbians and gays. And they're very prominent in all the gay pride parades that march every year. But that's not the only thing they do. They stand for justice, and equality for their brethren, for their sons and daughters, and for their brothers and sisters, and for their friends. They're out there fighting to make sure that we get equal rights as well as just as much as we're fighting for it. And that's carrying somebody else's cross, carrying that cross to make sure that equality happens. That's a very good example of, they're not doing it for themselves. They're doing it for their loved ones and people they care about, and anybody else that humanity.
Amen.
You know, that's an amazing organization. I admire them. In fact, whenever I'm at the parades, they go by, I bawl my eyes out. I used to just start crying.
I've never heard of them.
PFLAG. Check it out. Great organization. They march. You see a father and a son.
It's like when people walking by Jesus carrying that cross, you know. Some people try to stop it and help them.
Well, you're always welcome. Yeah. Well.
You know?
Yeah.
And it wasn't even their cross to bear, they just jumped in it.
Most of us will not experience the fact that we could have to lose our life for our beliefs. Most of us will not experience that.
Mother Perry actually did something.
Okay, you got to speak up a little, Gavin. I can't understand you.
Didn't Tyler Perry do something for Christmas or whatever, and about carrying a cross?
I'm not sure. Tell me about it. Why would you know any more than you would?
Not just by him.
Okay. So, carrying our crosses. It's important that we realize that most of the most important process we will carry through our lifetime will not be our own. So the most important process we carry throughout our lifetime will not be our own.
It's a really
Right.
good point you're bringing up.
Being a man with brothers.
It's not like, well, not most important. I think you want, you gotta, the cross that you bear, or the cross that you actually endure yourself and get through and get up to, you actually tell a story and you can actually,
And you got to share that,
you gotta
guys.
share it eventually.
You got to share it. You can't keep it to yourself. That's the whole idea. That's why we have these experiences. And we're able
Pat
to.
your back on the.
No, I don't mean that. I don't mean necessarily me. I teach because that's all I know.
Personal experience, I guess.
That's all I know. All I know is what God has shown me and what I've seen in my life and what I've learned from others before me. Because believe it or not, that's something I learned pretty young. I learned that my elders are pretty smart people. They're not, they're not perfect. They don't do always the right thing, and we're all human. We would say that all the time. There, we're all human. Our crutch, we're all human. But I listened. And even it took me, getting my 20s and 30s, late 20s, early 30s to really realize that I need to listen to this person is 70 some odd years old, 80 years old. They've been around the block. They may not have all their information they tell me may not be useful to me, but I need to listen.
You realize the power of wisdom.
That's one thing I talk about all the time. That here in America, we shut away our elderly. We what? Now you're cold.
Freezing.
Yeah. Really cold. It's like,
Okay. Well, you know what? Freeze for a moment because we're almost done here.
all right.
Okay. You guys, I swear, the most bipolar group I've ever seen in my life. Listen up. Listen up.
But yeah,
We, as Americans, the American public especially, we shut away, we hide away our elderly. We don't want to. That's it. They're old. They're no longer useful to us. They can't work anymore. Put them away. Let me tell you something. In Eastern countries, the elderly are revered.
Exactly.
They are considered sexy. They're considered knowledgeable. They're put on pedestals because of what they've been through. And hell, they should be.
The footsteps they made.
We're following in those footsteps whether we like it or not. It's our choice on how we choose to follow in those footsteps. Do we choose to make the same mistakes that they can tell us not to make, or do we choose to listen and jump over that mistake and maybe grow a little further than they went?
Longer footsteps.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. If there's only so much life, you only have so much years to live. Okay, there's only so much you can do. You have a perfect life. But think about it, if we just listen to all the people ahead of us and not make the same mistakes, we've got to bypass all that BS, right? And go over here and start from here and move forward and advance our humanity, a lot further
Right.
than we normally could as one person.
We're way behind right now.
We are.
Yeah.
And with our own mistakes, our own mistakes over and over and over again. And I think that if we all just listen to God a little more, we could stop making a lot of those mistakes. Like inequality in human beings. God tells people all the time, God tells me that we should be treated equally. We should have the same rights here on this world as everybody else. That He created us all, and we're all His children. So why should one be better than the other? They're not. Jesus Christ was not better than us when He was here. He was human.
Might be different, but not better.
Different is cool. That's the
Exactly.
diversity.
There's nothing wrong with difference.
But Jesus Christ carried His cross
He carried our cross.
and our cross
So he just jumped in there and grabbed it,
without question.
Exactly.
Was He scared? Yes.
Exactly.
Did He say in the garden the night before, Lord, please don't make me do this. Please.
Suffer,
But
yeah.
He said, Your will be done, but please, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
But He did it. And didn't bat an eyelash. Just went. Kind of like some people that went to the parade today. They didn't bat an eyelash. They knew that those black people, they knew they were going there. That's it. You want to go? Yeah, let's go.
Exactly. Making it happen.
Because that's what it's about. So, okay. Anything else for me? Besides the fact y'all are freezing now. Y'all were burning up earlier, now you're freezing. I swear. All right, we'll move along quickly. Okay. Next week at 11 a.m. Go to service. 11 a.m.
Hope instead of
I have to because I can't be late next week because I've got an engagement I've got to go to. So y'all have got to make sure that y'all keep on me and I'll keep on you and make sure it goes well. We don't have to strip the floors next week. So we're just gonna wax. Okay, so that takes care of a lot of that. But don't get complacent on me. I still need you guys to look at that list for services on Sundays. If you're gonna help me volunteer, I'm grateful to my volunteers. I am. I know I don't tell you enough how grateful I am that y'all are here.
thank you.
And I do tell you that I can do it myself because I can.
Right.
But it means so much more to me when everybody else has a hand in it. Okay? And it means more to you when you have a hand in your own service in your own church.
We'll
Okay?
throw that cross down.
I'm trying. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Even though we still have a long way to go, we do. Thank you for trying. Thank you for putting something into it. Thank you because it will mean more. It will mean more to you the more you put into it. Okay? So next Sunday, 11 o'clock, volunteers. Don't forget the giving day is the 20th. If you can get somebody to donate to the church, look, it would really be cool if y'all can get every hour. If you get a donation during the hours, see they base on you get an entry. So if somebody donates between 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning, that's an entry into one of the contests. 9 and 10, it's another entry. Another 10, 11, it's another entry. So we can get those people, to donate at different times during the day, whatever, if we can donate, whatever we're going to do, we could be winning something pretty big. We could be doing something good, okay? This is going to be great for our church if we can get something like that. I know I'm thinking miracles, but it'd be nice to at least have a chance. Give yourself a chance, you never know. Huh?
Start a Kickstarter page, like, for, like, funds for new
That's the whole point.
You know what I'm saying?
That's what it would be for. What's our biggest goal right now as far as the church goes? Is finding a location and getting out of my, my living room here. That's what that would be for. If we got funds for that, if we any kind of major funds that we got right now, we'll definitely go directly toward it.
Or Kickstarter page.
Huh?
Those are
We could do that. That'd be great. If I had time, I would love to do it. But would you like to do one for us? Do it for us. That'd be great. I would greatly appreciate that.
Are we?
Go ahead.
I got a question about the walk. Are we able to?
The Alzheimer's Walk.
Yeah, are we able to set up like a kiosk and like maybe like sell T-shirts or sell food or something?
No.
Like,
No. First of all, it'd be too late this year to sign up for something like that. They do have vendors out there that they already have. In order to do something like that, let me tell you something. Selling food. In City of Dallas, to sell food, you have to have the health department license. You also have to have tax permits, which we do have that. We have the church from and you have to have all kinds of different permits.
and inspection.
It costs a lot of money to set up. We're not really set up for that. Okay. T-shirts. I don't know what T-shirts they can sell. They give away T-shirts if you raise $100.
I just know that, and
don't you get the T-shirts? Like you have them sent here?
No.
And then
No, those are all those T-shirts I gave away. Everybody used those were to past events. I just wonder where they were purple.
So I was just wondering because most events that you could go to, a lot of team type.
They don't really do that out there. They got corporate sponsors out there that are doing things like you'll have the people who do coffee in the morning, and they'll have at the end of the race you can get. I know they have chocolate milk you can get, and things like that. Borden out there, whatever. But not really a lot of individual things. The teams don't do that. It's not really done that. No nonprofits really out there doing anything like that. But it'd be an idea for you to start looking into some stuff like that. If you want to see if we can get a booth somewhere, I'm not sure what T-shirt would sell. Here's the deal, though: we got to have capital. You guys understand this? You got to have capital to buy the things to sell. It costs money. So you see where I'm coming from? It's kind of it's catch-22. We need the money. We can sell something. Maybe we can make money with. We can't have the money to buy the stuff to begin with. We'll get there.
I just know that there was one thing on Fox 4 News a few months ago where they had a T-shirt for like some cancer organization or something like that, and the team raised. They sold 100 shirts.
Great.
And 100 shirts was just the first package or whatever. It ended up turning out to be thousands.
I can order 100 shirts. I would put up for that. I mean, I'll pay. Y'all come up with an idea for a T-shirt that you want to sell, and y'all are willing to get out there and get off your butts and sell it. I don't mean just. I mean, there's not going to be a big event we're going to do with that. We're going to have to get out there and sell them. Get on Channel 4 if you can.
Right.
And tell them who we are. Remember, we're just a church, and there's a lot of us out there. It's got to be something pretty extraordinary for us to get on TV.
I mean, we are pretty unique.
We are, but you got to really. It's hard to do that unless you come here and see us. Unless you're sitting in this church with us, they don't know how unique we are, or how special we are, or how different we are. We know that because we're here every Sunday.
We're able to set up a kiosk though. We can have it on display.
For Alzheimer's, that's not going to happen to them like that.
I'm just
They
saying.
they don't cater to things like that.
Maybe we could go to one together as a collaborative group that'll throw in and have a place to go.
Well, we'll work on
have
it.
fun.
Start looking around for some events going around and see what you find.
Right.
You got to do the research for me because I only got so many hours in the day,
Okay.
and my hours are full. I need double what I got right now to finish what I have to do. So-
It'd be a good deal.
All right, that's an idea. I appreciate that. I'm glad that we're thinking that way, guys, because look, this is where we are right now. We're at that standstill. We're at that just getting over that mountain, this hump right here of getting enough funds to get into a place of our own and get out of here. Because I really do want to.
I think that's how we do it.
That's what we want to do. We've got to come together and start using our minds and start thinking, using our abilities that we have and giving them to the church.
Possibility that that's a good idea with the Kickstarter things.
Oh, I agree. And I wish I'd had time to do it. I thought about it. It's crossed my mind as I'm writing a sermon or doing a PowerPoint or something. It's only so much I can do. So help me out, guys.
Baylor's intro idea was a pretty good idea as far as like getting people to see what we do.
What do you mean? Oh, I know that. Baylor's got an AV background. He understands the visual arts. Okay, he worked for the Baptists, as we call them,
Really?
for a long time. His family is very deep rooted in the Baptist faith.
Wow.
Okay, so he knows a lot of that. And the attention span, unfortunately, you can see over here, the attention span of the American people is not very much. So that movie, like the Most Reverend we had, you had to be interested in that to watch it. You had to want to know what was going on and be interested to catch all of it. Because it was an hour long, but that's what it took me to explain what I needed to explain fully about our church. What Baylor's talking about is hit the highlights, a couple of highlights,
quick.
that's it. 30 seconds and that's it. 30 seconds to a minute and that's it. And that's great and that's true. That's why
Right.
commercials. That's why commercials are 30 seconds long, guys.
He's right. That's
That's
how we
why.
get our movie watched.
Right. That's correct. And I do have previews, in fact, that I made for the movie that are on YouTube as well that say, now showing and this and that. That's how I got people to watch it. Okay, that's one of the things I do.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yes, our attention span is very small. It is.
Squirrels.
So, but when you get interested in something, your attention span grows with it, and you learn more about it. And then that's what we're trying to do here. Get people in here. Let's learn. Let's learn. Let's learn. Let's grow. And that's our next step.
Resources too.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
But we're feeling the cramp. Y'all starting to feel it too now. Y'all starting to feel the pressure of this four walls closing in on us. We gotta get out there.
Right.
So I need your help. Let's do that. Let's bear some crosses and get out there and do it. Okay, guys? Anything else?
I was just gonna see if we can close out with a good prayer.
I think we ought to.
Personal prayers.
You want to lead us?
Would you like to lead some prayer?
I'm not the greatest. I mean, right now.
It's up to you.
Not today. But
All right, come on.
Next time I will.
Steve-O, would you like to lead
I
some
will
prayer?
hold your hand while you do.
Absolutely. Come on, let's go, guys. I don't have a problem with that.
Bring it in.
Let me tell you something. Guys, I was brought up Catholic, okay? And I am a recovering Catholic. So understand that we don't pray like this in Catholicism. We don't really have, open prayer where I can just say whatever I want. It's all very scripted, and that's it. This is what you say. So this is new for me, too. So it's taking me a little getting used to also.
Communist shit.
And I'm loving
Well,
it.
you're
I
doing
know, I love it. I love it. But you understand, I'm jumping into some new territory here, too. So here we go. Father in heaven, we thank you for bringing us together today through the trials and tribulations and the high emotions that it took to get here. Without those high emotions, we would not know how important this mission is that you put us on. Lord, help us to this week hear your voice. Help us to know what your desire is for us. Help us stay on our paths so that we can see our true abilities come to fruition and make a difference in this world. Lord, open our ears, open our hearts, and open our souls to your voice. Each and every day for that 10 minutes at least that we take to hear that. Next Sunday we come in, help us to open ourselves up to each other and share our experiences so that we can continue to grow and learn from each other. Protect us this week. Lord, bless our families. Bless all the parade goers out there that they get home safely. And guys, I'll see you next week. And
Our friends and enemies.
Amen. Let's go.
Amen.
Got me tongue-tied at the end there. All right, help me put this room back together. Thanks, Scott. Scott did these flowers. Scott, you did also. Scott did one of the arrangements, and Chris did the other arrangement, and they're absolutely gorgeous. They were the colors of the for Gay Pride here. I think they're absolutely gorgeous. Okay.